The slap echoed through Xenobiology 401 like a gunshot. Every student in the amphitheater froze. Professor Kellerith's 4 eyes widened in genuine shock. The holographic display of a dissected Regilian nerve cluster flickered and died as power diverted to the room's security protocols. Maya Chen didn't move. She sat perfectly still at her station, one hand resting on her data tablet, the other now pressed against her reddening cheek. Her dark eyes fixed on the creature standing over her with an expression that made several nearby students inch their seats backward. Vorkath, a Zenthari exchange student built like a rhinoceros, crossed with a praying mantis, loomed above her. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the sterile lights. 3 of his 6 arms were still raised, the 4th having just delivered the blow. "Pathetic Deathworlder trash," he hissed through his mandibles. "You contaminated my sample with your filthy human bacteria." Maya's voice came out flat, calm, terrifyingly calm. "Your sample was already contaminated. I was trying to save you the embarrassment of presenting it to the professor." Vorkaith's natural armor plating flared outward, a threat display that would make most species evacuate their bowels. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, weighing close to 400 pounds of muscle and natural weaponry that evolution had spent millions of years perfecting. Maya was 5'4" and maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. The smart money was definitely not on the human. Professor Kellerith finally found his voice, all 4 of his ocular stalks trembling. "Vorkath, step away from the human immediately. Violence in academic settings violates 17 different galactic educational compact regulations. Security has already been notified." "Security can wait in line," Maya said quietly. She stood up. The room's temperature seemed to drop 5 degrees. Jax Mercer, a human combat instructor sitting in the back row for a continuing education credit, recognized what he was seeing. He'd watched it happen in training exercises, in real combat, in the eyes of soldiers who'd reached the end of their patience with the galaxy's casual brutality toward their species. "Oh, this is gonna be good," he muttered, pulling out his personal recording device. Vorkath laughed, a sound like stones grinding together. "What will you do, little primate? Cry? File a complaint? Perhaps you'll write a strongly worded letter to the administration." "I'm going to give you one chance to apologize," Maya said. "Take it." "Or what? You'll strike me? With those pathetic soft limbs? I could crush your skull between 2 fingers." Maya's smile was thin, sharp. "You hit me once. Galactic law says I get one back. After that, we're even. Take the deal." Several students were now actively recording. This would trend across 17 systems by dinner time. Human versus Zenthari. Deathworlder versus Apex Predator. The betting pools on the extranet were probably already forming. Vorkath's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Very well, human. 1 strike. Do your worst. Then I'll show you what real pain feels like, and no law in the galaxy will protect you from what I do to species who challenge their betters." Professor Kellerith was frantically tapping his wrist communicator. "Security, this is an emergency. We need immediate intervention in Amphitheater 7. A human is about to engage a Zenthari in physical combat." The security dispatcher's voice crackled back. "Did you say a human is engaging a Zenthari?" "Yes. I need immediate help." "For which one?" "What do you mean, which one?" "Sir, do you need help for the human or the Zenthari?" Professor Kellerith sputtered. "The Zenthari outmasses her by nearly 300 pounds. There was a long pause. "Then, sir, you're new here, aren't you? We'll send a medical team for the Zenthari." Maya rolled her shoulders, stretched her neck. The movements were casual, almost lazy. She'd taken 3 steps toward Vorkath. When he made his first mistake, he laughed again. Maya's fist traveled approximately 18 inches. It started at her hip, rotated through her core, channeled through her shoulder, and extended in a perfect straight line that her boxing instructor back on Earth would have wept to see. It caught Vorkath directly on his mandible joint. The crack was audible throughout the amphitheater. Vorkath's head snapped sideways, with enough force that his neck made a sound like bubble wrap popping. His 4 rear legs scrambled for purchase as his center of gravity shifted. One of his eyes went Then Maya's knee came up. Humans, the galaxy had learned, possess an unusual skeletal structure. Their knees, unlike most species, can generate tremendous upward force, combined with their absurd muscle density and the fact that Earth's gravity is roughly twice that of most civilized worlds. The result is something resembling a biological battering ram. The knee caught Vorkath in what passed for his solar plexus. All 6 of his arms went limp. Maya wasn't finished. Her elbow came down on the back of his neck as he doubled over, then her other elbow, then a hammer fist that had her entire body weight behind it. Vorkath hit the floor face first. The impact shook several nearby workstations. "That's one," Maya said, breathing slightly harder. "Where even now," Vorkath tried to rise, his arms shaking. A thick, bluish fluid leaked from between his mandibles. His chitinous armor had cracked in 3 places. "You dare," he gurgled. "You dare strike a Zenthari warrior? I'll rip your limbs from your body. I'll feast on your organs while you watch. I'll make you beg for death." Maya sighed. "And there goes your chance to walk away." The human struck once. One of the recording students shouted, "They're even under compact law. He just threatened her life." Another student called back, "That voids the protection. Somebody stop this." A Trilaxian in the front row whimpered, "She's going to kill him." Mercer, still recording, shook his head. "Nah, she's got control. She's not going to kill him. She's going to educate him." Vorkath lunged. He was fast. Zenthari were ambush predators on their homeworld, capable of crossing 10 meters in under a second. His natural weapons, the bone spikes that protruded from his forearms, could punch through steel plating. Maya sidestepped. It looked effortless. The way she moved. Vorkath's massive bulk sailed past her, off balance, committed to a strike that found only air. As he passed, Maya's foot lashed out, catching his rear leg. The leg folded. Vorkath went down again, this time sideways, crashing into a workstation that exploded in a shower of sparks and shattered equipment. "See, that's the thing about Deathworlds," Maya said conversationally, circling him. "They don't just make you strong. They make you mean. They make you fast. They make you creative. Earth's got poisonous plants, venomous animals, predators that hunt in packs, and weather patterns that'll kill you 17 different ways before breakfast. You know what that teaches you?" Vorkath was trying to stand, his legs still shaking. "It teaches you that size doesn't matter. Armor doesn't matter. Natural weapons don't matter. What matters is being smarter, meaner, and more willing to do whatever it takes to survive." She moved in. What followed was less a fight and more a demonstration. Maya's hands found pressure points that Zenthari physiology didn't even know it had. Her elbows and knees struck joints that weren't supposed to bend that way. She used Vorkath's own mass against him, redirecting his charges into walls, floors, and furniture. The amphitheater had gone silent except for the sounds of impact and Vorkath's increasingly desperate breathing. "You know what the worst part is?" Maya asked, ducking under a wild swing. "I'm a xenobiology student. I'm not even a fighter. I just did a 12-week self-defense course before coming off-world because the university warned us that some species get handsy with humans." She swept his legs again. This time he didn't get up. "You picked the wrong Deathworlder to bully." The doors burst open. A security team rushed in, weapons drawn, emergency medical equipment at the ready. They stopped when they saw the scene. Maya stood over Vorkath's prone form, breathing hard but upright. Her cheek was still red from where he'd hit her. Her knuckles were slightly swollen. Vorkath was conscious but completely immobilized, lying in a spreading pool of his own blue blood. His armor had shattered in at least a dozen places. 2 of his arms bent at unnatural angles. His mandibles hung loose, no longer properly attached to his face. The lead security officer, a grizzled Korthan veteran with scars that suggested he'd seen actual combat, holstered his weapon. "Do you require medical attention, Miss Chen?" "I'm fine. He needs a hospital." "Understood. We have the entire incident recorded via the amphitheater's security system. Multiple witness recordings as well. The evidence is clear. Vorkath initiated physical violence. You responded within acceptable parameters of self-defense under Galactic Compact Article 7, subsection 12, commonly known as the Equal Retaliation Clause. He threatened my life after the first exchange." Maya added, "That voided his protection. We heard. Everything's documented." The security officer knelt beside Vorkath. "Son, you just learned a very expensive lesson about humans. Consider yourself lucky." She showed restraint. "I've seen Deathworlders do much worse." The medical team was already loading Vorkath onto an anti-gravity stretcher. One of the medics, a spindly Ixurian with 6 delicate manipulator limbs, examined the damage and let out a low whistle. Shattered exoskeleton in multiple locations. Severe cranial trauma. Dislocated joints. Possible internal hemorrhaging. He's going to need reconstructive surgery, probably looking at 6 months of recovery, minimum. Will he survive? Professor Kelrith asked weakly. Unfortunately, yes. Maya was already gathering her belongings. Her data tablet had survived the encounter. Her notes were intact. She had a quantum mechanics exam in 3 hours, and she wasn't about to let Vorthak's idiocy derail her schedule. Jax Mercer approached her as the security team finished clearing the scene. That was textbook, he said. Clean. Efficient. You've had training beyond basic self-defense. My dad was a Marine. He taught me some things growing up.
Yeah, I could tell.
Listen, you're going to be something of a celebrity after this. The video's already trending. You just went viral on about 40 different platforms. You might want to prepare yourself. Maya groaned. Great. That's exactly what I need. More attention. Could be worse. You could be Vorthak, explaining to his clan elders how a human half his size reconstructed his face. Despite everything. Maya smiled. Fair point. Professor Kelrith approached nervously, his ocular stalks still trembling slightly. Miss Chen, I must formally document this incident. However, I want you to know that you will face no academic consequences. The recordings clearly show Vorkath initiated the violence. You defended yourself appropriately. That said, the administration will likely want to speak with you. I understand, Professor. I'll cooperate fully with any investigation. Excellent. I would also like to note for the record that your identification of the contamination in Vorthak's sample was correct. Your lab technique is exemplary. I look forward to reading your dissertation on cross-species cellular adaptation. Maya nodded and headed for the exit. Students parted before her like she was radioactive. Some looked terrified. Others looked impressed. A few humans in the back gave her subtle thumbs-up gestures. As she walked through the corridors of Nexus Station's academic wing, her personal communicators started buzzing. Messages flooded in. Friend requests, interview requests, marriage proposals from 3 different species. She ignored all of it. What Maya didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that the video of her fight with Vorthak had reached far beyond social media. It had caught the attention of someone very specific, someone who'd been searching for exceptional humans, someone with resources, connections, and a mission that required exactly the kind of skills Maya had just demonstrated. By the time she reached her dormitory, a priority message was waiting, encrypted, marked urgent. The sender's credentials indicated Terran Defense Initiative, Special Operations Division. The message was brief. Miss Chen, we need to talk about your future. What you did today revealed capabilities we've been searching for. You have 48 hours to decide if you want to know more. Yes or no. Nothing else. Maya stared at the message for a long time. Outside her window, Nexus Station rotated slowly, a massive ring of metal and composite materials hanging in the darkness between stars. Thousands of species lived here, studied here, worked here. Most of them believed humans were soft, weak, lucky Deathworlders who'd stumbled into civilization without earning their place. Vorthak had believed that too, right up until his face stopped working. Maya's finger hovered over her communicator. Yes or no? 48 hours. She typed one word. Yes. The response came instantly. Good. Someone will contact you within 6 hours. Pack light. Where you're going, they provide everything you'll need. Welcome to humanity's real defense. Maya's blood ran cold. What had she just agreed to? And more importantly, what did the Terran Defense Initiative know about her that she didn't know about herself? The answer she was about to discover would change everything she thought she understood about why humans were really in space. The woman who appeared at Maya's door exactly 5 hours and 47 minutes later wasn't what she expected. First off, she was old. Actually old, with silver hair pulled back in a tight bun and wrinkles that suggested she'd earned every single one through hard decisions and harder consequences. She wore civilian clothes, nothing military, but carried herself with the posture of someone who'd spent decades giving orders people didn't question. Maya Chen, her voice was crisp, professional, with an accent that suggested Earth's northern territories. That's me, Colonel Sarah Vance, retired. May I come in? Maya stepped aside, suddenly aware of how small her dormitory quarters were. The colonel entered, scanned the room with eyes that missed nothing, and settled into the single chair like she was claiming territory. You're wondering why we contacted you, Vance said. It wasn't a question. The thought crossed my mind. Smart answer. No bullshit. I appreciate that. Vance pulled out a data slate, swiped through several screens. Your incident with the Xanthari student has been viewed approximately 70 million times in the last 6 hours. It's trending on every major platform across 17 systems. The Xanthari embassy has filed a formal complaint. The Galactic Educational Compact is demanding an investigation. 3 news organizations want exclusive interviews. And you, remarkably, went to your quantum mechanics exam like nothing happened. I studied for that exam, wasn't going to waste the effort. Vince's smile was brief but genuine. He scored a 94, by the way. Professor Haltris was impressed you showed up at all, let alone performed that well. How do you know my exam score? Because we know everything about you, Maya. We've been watching you since you applied to Nexus University. We know about your father's Marine service. We know about your mother's work in xenobiology. We know you speak 4 human languages and have basic proficiency in 6 alien ones. We know you turned down scholarships from 3 Earth universities to study off-world, and we know why. Maya's hands clenched. My reasons for leaving Earth are personal. Your reasons are because you wanted to understand them. The aliens, the species that treat humans like we're lucky primitives who stumbled into civilization. You wanted to prove we belong here, that we're not just Deathworld savages who got access to faster-than-light travel by accident. That hit close enough to home that Maya didn't trust herself to speak. Vincent continued, her tone softening slightly. What you don't know is that you're right. We don't belong here, not the way the galaxy thinks we do. What's that supposed to mean? It means humanity's presence in galactic civilization is not an accident. It's not luck, and it sure as hell isn't because we impressed anyone with our art or philosophy. Vance leaned forward. We're here because we're useful. Because 50 years ago, when the Korthan Dominion was getting its ass handed to it by the Vrexel Horde, they were desperate enough to recruit soldiers from a Class 7 Deathworld. Guess which planet that was? Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. Earth, old star. The Galactic Council didn't want to admit it publicly, but they needed bodies. Soldiers who could survive in environments that would kill most species. Fighters who were mean enough, creative enough, and expendable enough to hold the line while the civilized species rebuilt their fleets. They're saying humans joined the galaxy as mercenaries? Worse, we joined as cannon fodder. The deal was simple. Fight for the Council, earn humanity a seat at the table, lose enough soldiers, prove we're willing to bleed for civilization, and maybe, just maybe, we'd get treated like equals instead of primitives. Vance's expression hardened. Your father was part of that third-wave deployment. He never told you the real stories, did he? He said he served with coalition forces, that it was classified. It's classified because humanity's introduction to the galaxy is a goddamn embarrassment for everyone involved. The Council used us, spent human lives like currency, and when the war ended, when we'd bled enough to earn our seat, they expected us to be grateful, to sit quietly, to accept our place as the new kids who should be thankful for the scraps. Maya's mind was racing. Everything she'd been taught, every history class, every integration seminar, the official narrative says we were discovered by a Korthan exploration vessel, that they invited us to join the galactic community. The official narrative is propaganda. The truth is we fought our way in, died our way in, and now, 50 years later, the galaxy still looks at us like we're barely civilized, because admitting the truth would mean admitting they needed Deathworld savages to save their collective asses. Why are you telling me this? Vance stood, paced to the window. Outside, Nexus Station's central hub rotated slowly, a testament to engineering that spanned dozens of species and centuries of collaboration. Because the war never really ended, Maya. The Vrexel were pushed back. Not destroyed. They're regrouping. Building strength. And intelligence suggests they're planning something big. Something that'll make the last war look like a minor border dispute. And you want me to fight? I want you to be ready. The Terran Defense Initiative isn't official military. We're off the books. Funded through channels the Council doesn't know about. Our job is to prepare humans for the reality that no one else wants to acknowledge. When the Vrexel come back, and they will, the galaxy's going to need us again. And this time, we're not going to be cannon fodder. Vince turned back to face her. What you did to Vorthak revealed something we screen for. Combat instinct. Threat assessment. The ability to hurt someone bigger and stronger than you without hesitation. Those aren't common traits, Maya. Even among humans. My dad taught me to defend myself. Your dad taught you to survive. There's a difference. What I saw in that recording wasn't survival instinct. It was controlled aggression. You didn't panic, you didn't freeze. You broke him down methodically, efficiently, like you'd done it before. Maya's mouth went dry. What exactly are you recruiting me for? A program. Classified. Intense. Dangerous as hell. We take exceptional humans and train them beyond anything the regular military does. Hand-to-hand combat. Weapons. Tactics. Xenobiology from a combat perspective. How to kill things the galaxy says can't be killed. How to survive environments that would liquefy most species. You're training assassins. We're training survivors. When the Vrexel return, they won't announce themselves. They'll infiltrate, sabotage, strike at civilian targets. The Council's military is designed for fleet actions and territorial defense. They're not equipped for the kind of asymmetric warfare the Vrexel specialize in. But humans, we wrote the damn book on asymmetric warfare. Maya thought about Vorkat, about how easy it had been to dismantle him, about the look in his eyes when he realized his size and armor meant nothing against someone who knew where to strike. What if I say no? Then you finish your degree, graduate, maybe get a research position somewhere, spend your life proving to aliens that humans are smart enough to sit at the big table. It's a good life, respectable, safe, but when the Vrexel come and civilians start dying, you'll wonder if you could have made a difference. If the training you turned down might have saved lives. That's not a hypothetical, Maya. That's the reality every person in our program lives with. We know what's coming. We're preparing for it. The question is whether you want to be ready or caught off guard. Maya walked to her desk, looked at her notes for xenobiology, detailed sketches of alien anatomy, cellular structures, evolutionary advantages. She'd spent months learning how different species worked, what made them unique. Vance was offering to teach her how to use that knowledge as a weapon. How long is the training? 18 months. Intensive. Off-world. Location classified. You'd have to withdraw from university. Tell people you accepted a research fellowship with Terran Sciences. We'd handle the cover story. And after training, the deployment. Could be anywhere humans have a presence. Could be deep cover. Could be direct action. Depends on where you're needed. Standard contract is 5 years active duty, 3 years reserve status. After that, you're free to return to civilian life. Assuming you survive. Comforting. I don't deal in comfort, Maya. I deal in reality. The reality is that humans are the galaxy's best-kept secret. We're not supposed to be this good at violence. We're not supposed to adapt this quickly. But we do. And there are people in the Council who find that terrifying. They'll use us when they need us, but they'll never trust us. Our program exists to make sure that when push comes to shove, humanity can protect itself. Maya picked up a stylus, twirled it between her fingers, a nervous habit from childhood. If I do this, people will ask questions. My friends, professors, let them ask. Your cover story is airtight. Terran Sciences is a legitimate organization. They actually do cutting-edge research. You'll have documentation, references, everything you need. Some people might suspect something, but they won't know for sure. My parents will be told you're pursuing advanced research opportunities. They'll be proud, your mother especially, given her background in xenobiology. Maya thought about her father, about the things he never said, the nightmares he sometimes had, the way he'd insisted she learn to fight, to survive, to never trust that civilization meant safety. He'd known. All along he'd known what was coming. When do I leave? Vance's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes suggested approval. Transport leaves in 36 hours. Pack light, like I said, personal items only. Everything else gets issued. You'll have time to send messages, tie up loose ends, make it believable. What happens to Vorthak? The investigation, already handled. Security footage confirms everything. He initiated violence, threatened your life, lost the fight. His family's been notified. They're embarrassed but not stupid enough to push it. Zen theory respects strength, even when it humiliates them. If anything, you might have earned their grudging respect. Somehow I doubt that. Then you don't know Zen theory as well as you think. Vance moved toward the door, paused. One more thing. What you're about to undergo will change you. Not in some abstract way, physically, mentally. The person who comes out of training won't be the same person going in. Some recruits can't handle that. They wash out, end up broken. We try to screen carefully, but we're not perfect. Why tell me this? Trying to scare me off? Trying to give you the truth you deserve that much. If you show up for transport, you're committed. There's no quitting once training starts. No backing out. You finish, or you fail. Those are the only options. Maya met her eyes. I'll be there. Vance nodded once. Good. One last thing. Don't research us. Don't look up the Terran Defense Initiative. Don't ask questions. Just show up at the coordinates I'm sending to your communicator. Everything else you'll learn when you need to know it. She left without another word. Maya stood in her empty dormitory, listening to the ambient hum of Nexus Station's life support systems. Somewhere on this station, Vortath was in surgery, having his face rebuilt. Somewhere else, students were gossiping about the human who destroyed a Zenthori in single combat. And somewhere far away in the darkness between stars, something was coming. Something humanity would need to face. Maya pulled out her communicator, composed a message to her parents. Careful words about a research opportunity, advanced studies, cutting-edge work, all technically true, all carefully omitted the part about learning to kill. Her father's response came within minutes. Proud of you, sweetheart. Be safe. Remember what I taught you. He knew. Of course he knew. Her mother's message was longer, excited, full of questions about the research. Maya answered them all, weaving the cover story Vance had provided, feeling guilty about the deception even as she recognized its necessity. The next 36 hours passed in a blur, withdrawing from classes, packing, saying goodbye to friends who thought she'd be back in a year or two. When the transport arrived, it was unmarked. Civilian registry. Nothing to suggest military involvement. The pilot was human, young, quiet. She didn't ask questions. As Nexus Station receded behind them, Maya watched it shrink against the backdrop of stars. She'd come here to prove something. To herself. To the galaxy. To anyone who thought humans were lucky primitive. Now she was leaving to become something else entirely. The pilot finally spoke. First time what? Leaving everything behind. Jumping into the unknown. Yeah, it's easier. Sort of. The pilot adjusted their course, punched in coordinates that Maya's navigation training couldn't identify. For what it's worth, what you did to that Zenthori was impressive. Half the recruits in the program couldn't have done that on their first day. How do you know about that? Everyone knows about that. It's required viewing now. Example of proper threat response under civilian rules of engagement. Maya absorbed that. What's your story? Mining colony defense. Brick cell raid 6 years ago. Lost my whole family. Signed up the next day. Been flying for the initiative ever since. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just make it count. Make sure the training's worth it. Because when the shit hits the fan again, and it will, we need people who won't freeze. People who'll do what needs doing. They flew in silence after that. 3 hours later, they docked with something that didn't appear on any star charts. A station. But not like Nexus. This was military. Hardened. Armed. This was where humans prepared for war the galaxy didn't want to acknowledge. Colonel Vance met her at the airlock. Welcome to Tartarus Station, home of humanity's best-kept secret. You ready? Maya shouldered her bag. Thought about Vortath. About her father's nightmares. About the students who'd watched her fight and seen something that both impressed and terrified them. Ready. Then let's begin. The airlock opened. Maya stepped through. Behind her, everything she'd known. Ahead, everything she'd become. Somewhere in the darkness, the Vrexel were coming. But humanity would be ready. And Maya Chen, xenobiology student turned classified operative, would be part of the reason why. The training she was about to undergo would forge her into something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that would make Vortath's beating look like a gentle introduction. The Deathworld girl who'd defended herself in a classroom was about to become humanity's secret weapon. And the galaxy, ignorant and arrogant, would never see it coming. Not until it was far too late.